Access control should be simple, right? You tap, scan, or swipe, and you're in. But for most businesses, it's never that easy. Legacy systems are rigid. Integrations are a nightmare. And if you want something custom, you're looking at expensive development work. That's where Acre Security is flipping the script, bringing the flexibility of modern software to access control with Fitz and Gallery. Think about how your phone has evolved over the last decade. You don't just use it to make calls. You customize it with apps, automate tasks, and connect it to everything from your car to your thermostat. Meanwhile, access control systems have barely changed. They're often closed, difficult to integrate, and require workarounds to do anything beyond basic door control. Fitz is like having a no-code automation tool built directly into your access control system. It lets businesses sync security with HR systems, automate approvals, and adjust security settings in real time, all without needing a developer. It also makes migrating from outdated access control platforms much easier by ensuring business continuity with minimal downtime. Imagine an office where access permissions automatically change based on an employee's role, or where doors lock when a security alert is triggered, all happening in the background. That's the level of intelligence Fitz brings to access control. If Fitz is the engine that drives automation, Gallery is the marketplace that makes it easy to expand functionality. Just like how you download apps to enhance your phone, Gallery lets businesses find and deploy integrations that extend their access control capabilities. From identity management tools to automated reporting, it turns a static security system into a dynamic, adaptable platform. Security is no longer just about locking doors. It's about building a system that works with your business, not against it. Fitz and Gallery allow companies to move beyond the outdated, one-size-fits-all approach and create security workflows that evolve to their needs. And because it's all no-code, IT teams don't have to sink hours into maintenance or custom development. The future is already here. We've seen payments, ID systems, and even car keys go digital. Access control is next, and Acre Security is making it happen. The next time you see a company struggling with outdated keycards and rigid security systems, just know it doesn't have to be that way. The future of access control isn't just about unlocking doors. It's about unlocking possibilities. Ready to move?
What our mission is obviously to make people feel safe and secure while utilizing access control, but we're gonna bridge the technology gap with security, with innovative solutions to allow them to get there. There's a lot of legacy and a lot of existing infrastructure out there. And what we want to be is a leading provider in the enterprise security and software as a service space, and being able to take people from where they are today into the next generation of technology, and Acre becomes that bridge for the customers. I have this conversation all the time with customers who may be apprehensive about cloud or the security of cloud. And then the question really becomes, okay, so how do you bank today? Where is your HR data? And everything is in the cloud. And we're now at that inflection point where customers are really starting to understand and grasp for a lot of reasons. It's just easy. It's easy to scale up or down. It's easy to deploy. It's really secure these days. You can access your data anywhere, which is so important. So now everyone's really starting to see that and adopt that. And then it drives a significant ROI because of all the infrastructure that usually needs to be there in the access control ecosystem. All of that is just included at price of entry. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to worry about updates. You don't have to worry about new hardware that has, servers typically 3 to 5 years shelf life, really complicated, systems and softwares and databases that need to be managed. Again, all of that is just included and just makes it so easy for everybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Curtis Che, Product Manager for Acre Access Control. and I'd like to show you our new gallery and package launcher features today. Gallery can be found in the Acre Access Control interface. Once inside the gallery, you will see a new UI that shows you a list of Fitz packages. These are scripts that you can run on the Acre Access Control to extend the platform or add additional functionality. If you open one of these reports, you'll see a screen with some package details. Once in the package launcher, you'll see a list on the left-hand side of all the installed packages that you have. So here we're showing the access rights for people report. This one would show you what readers and what access levels specific people on the system have. All these users have the access level ISC West staff, of course, because we're here at ISC West, and it shows you what readers they have access to.
Hello, and welcome to Mastering the Gallery, Acre's App Store for Smarter Access Control. Today, we will take you through an exclusive demo of the gallery, which just launched on March 31st. My name is Casey Thomas, and I am the Director of Brand and Product Marketing here at Acre, and I'll be your host. So as we go through the content, please drop your questions, comments into the chat. We'll cover as many as we can at the end. And you're also welcome to follow up with your Acre sales rep directly, discuss any further questions that you may have. So just getting into the agenda. There we go. So first we'll go into an intro to the Fitz ecosystem. We will meet the expert. We will go through a gallery demo, have a Q&A session, as I mentioned, and then we will get into next steps. So first, I'm just going to give an overview before I hand it over to the true experts of what the Fitz ecosystem is. So Fitz are packages that are created for programming, integration, and workflow efficiency. You can think of them as being similar to apps from an app store, but within the context of Acre Access Control, and with the gallery serving as the app store. So the Fitz acronym stands for Functional Integration Toolkit Scripts. Fitz is a powerful scripting tool independent of the Acre Access Control RESTful API that allows users to gain actionable insights from data to improve functional efficiency and security operations. So Fitz packages expand the capability of the Acre Access Control platform without modifying its core. Packages run in a protected, customer-specific sandbox, ensuring that they do not affect the cloud-native platform's stability. And as technology evolves, as we all know it will, Fitz packages and further down the line, Rex AI offer flexibility, allowing users to integrate data from multiple sources and create tailored workflows to meet their business needs. Fitz enables organizations to unlock new efficiencies and future-proof their security infrastructure. So I have the privilege of passing the mic over to Ralph Shillington, who is our VP of Engineering and resident expert and creator of the gallery, to take you through a demonstration. Ralph and I also happen to be from the same very small town in Ontario. So I'll pass it over to you, Ralph.
Thanks so much, Casey. We have a very action-packed day ahead of us. It's going to be all demonstration time. So if we can just get to the next slide, we'll take a look at what we're going to be doing in this demonstration. So I'm going to install some packages. Obviously, we're going to take a look at the gallery from a user's point of view. So a user who will open up the gallery, install a package, perhaps maybe it's a report or some other kind of workflow or integration that they're going to be doing. So you'll see the gallery used that way. We're going to use some scripting language. So we're going to be using Fitz to populate our database, our particular instance. And then we're going to jump right into building out an actual package. This is a package that, as of just a few days ago, didn't exist, and now it does. So you're going to see how this particular package, which I just colloquially called the training tracker. And the idea of this training tracker is that it connects your learner management system to your access control system, so that people have to take particular training, specific training, say biohazard handling, before they can enter into the bio lab, for example. So we'll take a look at how we can build a package that facilitate that kind of integration between your access control system and your learner management or certification tracking system. And so this package will do a lot of different things that leverage um, the extensibility of our platform. And anyway, let's just jump right into the demo. So if we can just switch screens, and we'll get going on to that. Before we get too far into the building of gallery packages, it's important to understand what the gallery is. And we're going to do that by logging into an instance and doing a quick walkthrough. So this is the Really Good Software Company, and it has not much, like one person, no hardware, like hardly any events. We're not going to be able to do much with that data. So let's use Fitz to get some more data into this instance before we can actually even play around with the gallery. So I'm going to open up my terminal window. And now in this particular case, I happen to have some scripts that are kind of pre-canned. I think the very first one that we're going to run is adding people. So the little Fitz script that's going to add, I think, 1,000 people to the list. There, we've already added 250. Well, that was pretty quick. So we added 1,000 people about 5 milliseconds per person. And if we come back over here under people and hit refresh, there they all are, dozens and dozens. There's the B's and the C's and the D's. Yeah, 1,000. Let's go back to our terminal window and get ourselves some hardware. So again, using Fitz scripts to generate hardware for us. This script is going to generate 10 controllers with 15 downstreams. That's 150 downstreams. And 2 readers per downstream. That's 300 readers total. That's going to take some time, I would think. You can see the number of events climbing. We're doing about 600 events every 10 seconds. That's how often this thing refreshes. Oh, and we're done. Well, that was fast. And if we come back over here and refresh, obviously these controllers aren't connected, so there's a status of unknown. And if I expand it out, you can see that, there's lots of them. We just use a standard numbering convention just to get those things populated. But you also get a good sense of how fast the new UI is. So that's kind of cool. But I also need events, like I need access events. So we can simulate that as well. We'll go back to our terminal window. And we'll add in events. I think this is going to add, I don't know, 10,000 events. And we're adding them between card numbers 1 to 1,100. So if we added 1,000 people, that means randomly 10% approximately of those events should be access denied events. We can come back over here and just filter by access denied events. Yeah. And we turn that off and get everything, access granted and denied. You'll see them all. In fact, you can see that over here as well. Let's just make this bigger. And we can see that this is the number of events that we're getting every 10 seconds, access granted. And then of course, access denied is being, yeah, look at that, like 1/10. That makes sense. And I asked for, I think, 10,000. So, oh gosh, that's it done. So yeah, there's a lot more work in terms of generating events because it has to find a reader to generate the event on. Well, now that we've got all of that data, we can install a gallery package and report on some of it. We're just going to do this very quickly by opening up the gallery. And, we just spent all of that effort getting in access events. So let's install the access request report and find out who was accessing what readers when. So now that we've installed that report, we can come back and we have to launch it. We launch all packages with a mechanism called the package launcher. And there's our access request report. So let's filter on, there's our list of 300 different readers. Let's just pick this one. And we're interested in access granted events by time range over the last, let's do over the last month and just run that. And there you go. So it's not a terribly large report. It's 10 pages per row, 10 rows per page for 3 pages. I guess if we change that to 30, turns it into just 1 page. And these are all of the people that accessed that particular reader with an access granted event and when they did it. So if we sort this by occurred on, from 411, 412, 413, 415, those are the dates that it was working on. So that's great. In just a few seconds, we populated our instance with 1,000 people, 300 different readers, 10,000 different access events randomly distributed over all the different readers and all the different people. And we installed a gallery package. So from a commercial point of view, that's sort of fit at the highest of all possible levels. What we're going to do now is take a look at what if I want to build a package myself, one of these gallery packages. In fact, the gallery package that we're going to build is this thing here called the training tracker. So before we jump into the code that's the training tracker, let's just install it. And again, using the package launcher, let's take a look. So here we have the training tracker. This package helps manage required training associated with specific access levels. And if we take a look at the different scripts that are in here, there's 2. Adding a new training type, and getting a list of the training that's available. So let's take a look at adding a new training type. It's a custom form that takes a number of different properties, the name, an ID. So this training ID is coming from our learner management system, the access levels that are required for this training course, and the number of days that this training is valid for. So if we come back in and we say we have a, let's do something really simple. Let's just do health and safety. And we'll call it Health 001. Now, if you have taken the health and safety course, that entitles you to access the staff area. So there's the general area, that's where people come in through the front door and they sit in the lobby and they wait for to be greeted and brought into the office. If you're an actual staff member who's taken the health and safety course, you can have access to the areas that all the staff have access to. Okay, that's the kind of course that you only have to take once. So the validity or the validity for those days would be 0. It's going to be good forever. And if we hit run, we can see in the background over here that it has executed a number of different API calls as part of that script's running. There was the script being installed, and again, we had to do some API calls to get the list of access levels, etc. And presumably, it's added a new object called training. Such an object actually doesn't exist in the Acre platform's object model. So what did it actually do? Let's open up our terminal window. And again, using our command line tool, we'll take a quick look. So in this case here, we're going to use our fit command language to do a search. And the search expression is for a type called generic. So we're adding a generic data type and in the Really Good Software Company instance. And let's just spit out the key, the common name, and the type name and see what that gets us. Well, we have actually already a number of different generics in here. One of them is a custom form specification. The alarm priority defaults are actually generics. And then finally, we have our health and safety training requirement. Now, I had put in some additional information about that. So let's take a look again more closely at that thing. We'll highlight its primary key, and we can say fit get by the primary key in the RGSC instance. And now this time what we're going to do is we're going to get, let's get the common name again and the type name again. But let's also pick up the monikers, and let's also pick up the values. Now the values actually are a property that comes to us as a string, but it's actually a JSON string. So we're going to convert it back into something that's a little bit more programmer friendly. Okay, now we're cooking. There's our health and safety common name. It's a training requirement. And there's the moniker that we added, saying that this is part of the training tracker namespace, and the nickname for this thing is Health001. There's some other monikers that get created as well, which we don't really care about, but it just goes to show that other products, other features of the platform will also be using monikers, and that's why namespace is so important. So this name is unique only within this particular namespace. And then finally, this particular training course expires in 0 days, which means it's actually going to be running forever. And it uses only one access level out of an array of possible access levels. If you remember, that was a drop-down list that had check marks. We could have picked multiple access levels that this training course applies to. And if I highlight that primary key and copy it and do another hit get that primary key, let's just spit out the common name. Every object has a common name. Yeah, it's the staff. It's this thing here. It's the staff access level. Okay, so now what? If I come in and let's take a look at me. Let's open my record up. And currently I have no access levels. But if I give myself the staff badge, then I should have some, I would think. Come back over under access level, and I have just the general access. I don't have the staff access. Oh, that's right. I only get the staff access when I take the health and safety training. So let's figure out a way to get the health and safety training done. And I think at this point, we also need to jump into the code. We need to take a closer look at how this package is working under the covers. And I think when we do that, we'll be able to figure out how to integrate, putting the I back in Fitz, how to integrate our learner management system into this particular package. So, okay, I'll save myself here with the general access level, and hopefully with that integration in place, I'll get the staff access level because I actually have taken the health and safety training course. So the developer tool of choice is Visual Studio Code, and I happen to have our repository already open. So this is the anatomy of any kind of a Fitz package. It's made up of various images. So for example, that particular screenshot is in the gallery as one of the many screenshots that you would see when you're browsing through the gallery. This particular text, there it is, training tracker. This package helps manage required training associated with specific access levels. That text that you see in the gallery display is coming from this file. The gallery package is made up of a series of scripts. And if you recall, we had a script called add training type. So let's take a look at that one. This is the one that generates the form, and not only generates the form, but then also receives the submission of that form's data. So this particular script is executed twice. And so we have an if statement, right? The condition is we're taking to see if the method that the UI is using is a get, or if it's not a get, then it must be a post. If it's a get, then we're simply going to return back to the user interface the training entry form. Otherwise, we're going to add an object. So let's take a look at this custom operator called training entry form. And operators will be inside this imports. And there's the training entry form. The training entry form just simply lists out all of the various fields that we had in our form. So the very first field, if we switch back, let's just switch back to the UI. We'll go back and forth a little bit. We'll open up the editor. Right, we had training type, the name, training ID, access levels, and valid for days. So we should see those in here. The name of the training ID, the access levels. And what's interesting here is that it is a type of drop-down button, and the data type for this drop-down button is access level. So this particular control knows how to go off and get the set of access levels and return back a name value pair of the access level's name and its primary key. It's also a required field, as all of these are. And it's a drop-down button that it means that it also allows for a multi-select. So we get those checkboxes. So I could have picked multiple access levels to be valid once this training is complete. And then the last one, what's the validity for in terms of days? Each one of these fields has a label, and that's going to be important when we come back. So let's just pop this over to the side. Get rid of this Explorer here for a second. So there's our form, and that form is going to be returned as output when the user interface does a get. So again, back here, when I click on this, the user interface is doing a get request and generating this form. In fact, if we come over here and clear that, there you go. That's our get request. That's been that just happened. It was an execution, right? The only API call that it had to do is it had to log in. Like the Fitz execution engine had to log in to get that. Okay, coming back over here. Now that we've generated the form, the user fills in the form and runs this same script again, but this time it'll be a post. So what are we doing? Very, very simple. We're just simply adding a new object. And if we take a look at how the add object instruction works, we can see that you have to tell us what the object looks like. So that's done with this mechanism here called a template, or this property, I should say, called a template. And the template specifies what is the data type. It's a generic. And the common name is coming from our input. So you're going to see this an awful lot in Fitz scripts, this what we call string interpolation, where we supply markers that say everything between these markers will be the name of a property or a variable or some sort of jQuery type path, JPath type query, I should say. And in this particular case, we're looking for the input of name. There's name. And we're going to create this generic data type, and we're going to say the type name is training requirement. So if you recall, we did a query for this object, and it had a type name of training requirement, and it has values. And so remember I had said earlier that the values property is actually a string. Let's take a look at that again. We're just going to open up our terminal window right in here, and we'll say Fitz search for generic, where the type name is training requirement in the RJC instance. And let's get, again, the common name and the values. But this time I'm not going to do anything with the values. I'm going to just leave it like that. And what you can see is that the values is actually coming back through the API as a string, but that string is in fact a JSON value. And that's why when we do something like this, this tool called JQ will convert it back into the actual values. So what's happening over here is we're providing a string. And the way we do that is by using a custom Fitz operator called toString. And the toString operator takes an object and turns it into a string. We have the expires in. The UI on these numeric data types down here, where we've said that is numeric field, it assumes that you might want to be putting in a decimal value. So it's actually going to return this to us as a decimal, not as an int. So I'd like it to be an integer, in fact. So I'm going to convert that into an integer here, call that the expires value. And we have another custom operator called dropdown input to key array. And all that this is doing is it's taking the input called access levels, which we know will be coming from this dropdown list. And we know that that's going to be an array of name value pairs. So the name will be the access level and the value will be its primary key. All I want are the keys. And so this mechanism here will convert that array into just an array of keys. We said we wanted a moniker. So here we are specifying our namespace and then supplying the actual value that we got from the input field, training ID. So it was right up here, training ID. And we're adding this into our current instance, the instance that we've logged into, as a generic. So just one Fitz instruction called add object that posts that data. Now, where this gets really interesting is when we can use this new data type that we've created, this training requirement data type, and drive it from our learner management system. So let's take a look at that script. That will be, again, in our scripts folder, training completed. So the training completed script is divided into a variety of different sections. One of the sections is simply a function called completed training, and we're going to take a look at that function at the end, even though it was declared. It has to be declared at the beginning of our instruction set. We do a couple of aggregations. This first aggregation is a lookup. Think of aggregation statements or instructions like select statements that you would have in a traditional SQL Server environment. This is the where clause of our select statement. We're looking for a generic of type training requirement where the namespace is training tracker. We saw where that was being placed in before. And the nickname is coming from input. So this particular script is also receiving input just like our previous script did. Now, in this case, the input is coming from the LMS webhook. And the LMS webhook is presumably going to give us a JSON document with a property called training, and that training is going to help us look up the training in our system here. So that's the where clause, and then the selection or projection, I should say, is we're going to project out for this particular training requirement that we have found its name, when it expires, if it expires. If it doesn't expire, then it's a 0 expiration, and then the access levels that were tied to that particular training course. When we do that aggregation, or if you want to think of it as the select statement, we're going to save the results as training. Now, training will be a data type of type array, because just like a select statement, there could be 0 or more results. Now, we're pretty confident that there's only going to be one because we're looking up the training by moniker, and the moniker can return at most only one value because these things are unique, but it's still going to be an array. Likewise, even easier, we're going to hunt up a person. So in the case of the person, all we need is their name and their object links. We're going to take a look at object links in just a minute, and we're looking that person up by their email address. And when we find the person with their name and their object links, we're going to save that in the array variable called person. Okay, so now that we've done those two aggregations, let's just shrink these things up a little bit. Get us some screen space back. So we've done an aggregation for training, an aggregation for people. The next thing we need to do is just make sure that our variables are valid, right? So we're going to check that we have only one training object. Remember, we said it was an array, so we can get the count of that array and make sure that it's equal to 1 using our equality operator. If it's not equal to 1, then we're going to report out a script failure. And the description for the script failure is that we're unable to find any training course by moniker, and we're going to supply as part of our description the actual moniker that we received, and that should help us in terms of debugging this particular integration if it doesn't work. Likewise with the person, same kind of thing. We're hoping to find exactly one person, and if we can't, we're going to again display that we were unable to find that person by email address. So the LMS, the learner management system, needs to know the email address of the student that took the course and the course identifier. And it's going to send those two values to us and say, Ralph Shillington took the health and safety course, health 001. Okay. So that's our bit of data validation that we've put into our product. And now we're going to get to doing the actual work. There's two conditions that we have to account for. Either the person has already taken the training and they're doing a renewal, or they've never taken the training before. So let's take a look at the example where they've never taken the training before. So we are searching for the object links of this person with a relation called training tracker, and the linked object ID is the actual training ID that we found when we did the lookup, when we looked up our training by moniker. Object links is an array of that's available in every object in our system, including people, including generics, including access levels. Everything has an object links array. The object links array simply is a mechanism for connecting two different objects together somehow. In this particular case, we're assuming that a person has been connected to the training object through this relationship called training tracker. Now, if that doesn't exist, in other words, he's never taken the training before, then the count of that object will be 0. In this case here, it'll actually be null. And so we're going to supply a default value of 0, and we're comparing 0 to our result. Therefore, we can just execute our custom function that we defined at the very beginning called completed training. Otherwise, the person has already taken the training, in which case they're doing a renewal. And so we need to remove the old training object and then add in the new training record that they've taken this training again. So the real magic is happening inside completed training. So let's scoot back up to the top of that script and find that custom definition. Again, another if statement, essentially saying, does this training expire or not? If the training doesn't expire, then the only piece of metadata that we need to record as part of this training record is when it was completed. So here's the definition of that metadata, saying it was completed on a particular date. And we're taking now as we're assuming that when we get the message from the LMS, that's happening in real time. That's the date that we're recording as when the training was completed. And in MongoDB, dates are stored as a number of milliseconds since the beginning of time, which is January 1st, 1970 in most Unix systems. And that's what we're doing. We're just storing it as a completed on. Now, if the training does expire, we need to include not only completed on, but also expires on. So that's happening here. We're changing the metadata and saying it has a completed on and an expires on. And we're going to take the expires on value and add it to now. Now, and what I'm doing here is I'm saying that the duration or the valid for property, which is normally in days, 180 days, we're going to record it here as seconds. So when I take this training course, if it has an expiration date, it's going to be in seconds, 180 seconds, 3 minutes, because we don't want to have to wait 6 months to see the effects of what happens when the training expires. Okay, so we've now got our metadata calculated. It will have a completed on, and it could possibly have an expires on. And so we need to connect our training object, training tracker, to the person. And that's happening here with this assign connected object. Every training course has one or more access levels associated with it. So we're going to loop through all of the access levels for the training course. This is just an array of keys. And we're going to assign that access level to the person. So we're taking, again, the person object, and we're linking it with the current. This is a bit of cryptic string interpolation, but it's valid. It's basically saying take the looping object and the whole object. We know that the whole object is going to be just a string. It's going to be the access levels key, and there you go. That's going to assign this person an access level. Now, if the training expires as 0, then there's nothing else to do. It's training that you only have to take once. You've been assigned the access level. We're moving on. Otherwise, we're also going to assign it as a scheduled access level. And in this case here, we're just saying we want this access level to be automatically removed from the system in a certain period of time. And again, we're using seconds instead of days, just so that we can sort of see it happen somewhat in real time. And that's it. We should be able to try this out. So there's a configuration file that goes with every script. This configuration file says that this particular method is going to run asynchronously. It does require an access token. So we're going to have to supply the LMS with an access token. Notice that it has no UI. This is a background task. So because it has no UI, it doesn't show up in the package launcher. The only way that we're going to be able to run this script is through some sort of integration. Now, I don't actually have an LMS to play with, but I can fake it out. Here's how we're going to do that. So first thing we know is that we need to have an access token. So I'm going to create a variable called A, and I'm going to get an access token from our fit command line saying get bearer token from the RGSC instance. That was easy. Echo $A. So there you go. Copy that down if you wish. It's going to be valid for a short period of time. It's the bearer token that gets me connected into this instance. So now what I can do is I can curl to this particular package and do a post. To do that, I need to know what the package identifier is. So I'm going to have to just do a quick lookup for that. I'm going to search for fit package in the RGC instance. There should be two, and I'd like to have the key and the common name. Yep, there they are. Remember, we had a package called the access request report, and we have a package called training tracker. So that's the one I want. I'm going to copy that. And here comes our curl command. So we're going to say curl. We'll do it verbose just so that we can sort of see how things are happening. And we're going to supply some headers. There's our authentication token that we got earlier. And the other header we're going to supply is our content type. We're supplying JSON as our content. And where do we want to do we want this to be a post to HTTPS Fitz. I'm in the dev environment. Script. There's our package name, and our script name is training completed. Whoops, sorry, down here. Training completed with some data. And the data is a JSON object that has training, what do we call it? Health 001. And it has an email, and that would be my email. Okay. Well, we got an HTTP 200 back, which means that the script didn't fail. If we come back over onto our UI, there we go. We saw a script being executed. And what does that mean? That means that if we come back over here and we take a look at Ralph, and we come at our access levels, there you go. I now have the staff access level, which I didn't have a minute ago. And that's because I took the training. Let's add another training type. We're going to add here handling hazardous waste with hazard 001. And if you've been handling hazardous waste, if you know how to do that, you can have access to the biolab. That requires 180 days before you have to renew it, because who knows, maybe procedures have changed between now and 6 months from now in terms of how to handle hazardous waste. I now have a new training type called hazard 001. Let's go back and run our curl script again. It's exactly the same script. So this script, this curl command, is simulating what we would be getting from the LMS. And so from the LMS, I've just taken the course, and the LMS is saying the course was called hazard 001. So we're just going to come back here and change the hazard 001. And the email is still the same guy. Took that training as well. Let's hit it. We got another 200. And I come back over here. There's our script was executed again successfully. If I open up Ralph Shillington again under access levels, we need to do a refresh. Yeah, it's bio level, but bio level is grayed out. And the reason why it's grayed out is because it's actually a scheduled access level. So I switch over here to scheduled, and we can see that the biolab access level is active on wasn't set, and it's going to expire in like 3 minutes, 5:51 a.m. on the 16th, which is when this is being recorded. Great. So we're taking advantage of a built-in feature of the Acre platform, which is scheduled access levels. We don't have to do anything to write any more scripting to go back and remove access levels if the person's training has expired. We're setting it as an access level that has an expiration in 6 months, or in this particular case, 3 minutes. That access level will be automatically removed. While we wait for that to happen, let's go back and do a little bit more spelunking around inside this package. So let's go and find that person's record again. Bit search. We're looking for a person with a given name of Ralph and a surname of Shillington. and in the RJC instance, of course. And let's get, again, the common name is always kind of handy. Oh, let's get the key as well. That's a handy thing to have. Common name, and I'm interested in object links. Well, interesting. I wouldn't say pretty, but I would say it's interesting. So let's read through. We have our badge type, which we saw before. We have our general access level, which we saw before. Our instance, like where we live in the grand hierarchy of instances inside our platform. There's our health and safety training tracker, our staff access level that we got because of that health and safety course that we took. There's our hazardous handling hazardous waste training tracker and our biolabs scheduled access level and our actual access level. The metadata, in this particular case, the API is returning the metadata as a BSON array, a BSON document, which is a byte array. It doesn't render very well. I wonder if we can fix that. Of course we can. Let's actually look at the data raw inside the database by not doing a search, which returns back API-based objects from the API object model, but by doing an aggregation query. An aggregation query has a little bit more to it, so I'll just add that in there. And it returns back the actual object right out of the database. So in this case here, it won't have a key because in the database, we call that thing an underscore ID, and we would like this in human readable format. Good, let's go. Okay, there's our ID, but now we can see that our metadata has some values. For example, here's our health and safety course, and there's our metadata said that it was completed then. And here's our training tracker that it was completed on this date and it expires at that time. That's true. What time is it? It's 09:52. So this training course has expired. And in fact, you can see that my bio access level is gone. So it's really gone. Not only is the access level gone, but the scheduled access level is gone. The scheduler has just whipped through, it does that every 2 minutes, whips through and takes a look for access levels that are expiring based on the scheduled access level object link, and it removes them. And we saw that happen whilst I blathered on for 3 minutes. Excellent. I think the only thing left to do is to do some reporting. So yeah, let's switch back to our user interface. So I have to log in again. And just take a look at the report. So training list takes as a filter the number of training courses that you'd like to take. So interestingly thing here is that we have a drop-down filter that is generic aware. It knows to filter the generics based on just the training requirements. I'm going to report on both of those and see which people have taken those courses. And no big surprise, it's just me, right? There's my name, email address, work address, what badge I have, what access levels I have right now. So yeah, you can see that I have the general access and the staff access level. My biolab has expired, right? So there's the 2 training courses, and that one has expired. So that's something to fix. Obviously, we'll go back into that script and change it from seconds to days so that these things don't expire quite so quickly. And that's pretty much it. Let's just take a very quick look at how that was done. Again, we have the training list. Same thing as before at the very beginning. The training list has a UI, and so the package launcher gets its UI by doing a get. And since we know it's a get, we're going to return back the list of parameters. In this case here, the list of parameters is pretty short. It's just give me the set of training requirements that you'd like to report on. And then we generate the training list and we output the training list. Generating the training list is a function here. There it is. And essentially, it's just a big aggregation pipeline that pulls out the people who have a training tracker, gets their work phone numbers, their badge types, access levels, etc., and then projects it all out again. There should be a whole course just on writing reports, because obviously reports is one of the primary functions of the gallery, and certainly one of the functions that we see users and value-added resellers spending a lot of their time is in generating new custom reports. This particular package will hit the gallery as a real thing, a real package, not just some training material, in the coming weeks or months, and you will be able to use it. Well, that was like drinking from a fire hose, but if there's any questions.
No, I think we can get right into next steps, Ralph.
Okay, great. So yeah, the next steps will be looking for sign-up information, which will be coming out this summer for joining the developer community. So all of this package, the training tracker package, and all of the other packages that we have will be available inside that developer community. You take these packages and make them your own. Add your own flair and specific spin for your customers. There's going to be detailed training videos. Obviously, everything that we did in that 45 minutes. There's hours worth of content in each one of those 5-minute segments, and that kind of thing will be inside the developer community.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Ralph. And for all of you, we want to encourage you to follow up with your Acre sales rep for more info, or you can request a personal demo via our website, acresecurity.com. We hope you learned lots about the exciting possibilities of the gallery today, and we want to thank you so much for coming. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
If Fitz is the engine that drives automation, Gallery is the marketplace that makes it easy to expand functionality. Just like how you download apps to enhance your phone, Gallery lets businesses find and deploy integrations that extend their access control capabilities. From identity management tools to automated reporting, it turns a static security system into a dynamic, adaptable platform. Security is no longer just about locking doors. It's about building a system that works with your business, not against it. Fitz and Gallery allow companies to move beyond the outdated one-size-fits-all approach and create security workflows that evolve to their needs. And because it's all no code, IT teams don't have to sink hours into maintenance or custom development.
There's a part of this industry that's mission oriented. It's about saving people's lives, it's protecting people, it's protecting schools, hospitals, data, and to me that mission is powerful. And when you think about the technology behind it and what you can solve by leveraging the tech that's out there right now is also equally exciting. So you have this mission critical industry, you have companies trying to solve technology problems, and you're bringing those together. It's just the right time right now to be in the space. People are looking for those answers, right? And you're seeing in the news every single day things happening. So if we can do something to provide a faster solution, easier way to operate, to help people feel more safe, right? It's an opportunity, but also it's what our mission is from an Acre perspective as well. There's a part of this industry that's mission oriented. It's about saving people's lives, it's protecting people, it's protecting schools, hospitals, data, and to me that mission is powerful. And when you think about the technology behind it and what you can solve by leveraging the tech that's out there right now is also equally exciting. So you have this mission critical industry, you have companies trying to solve technology problems, and you're bringing those together. It's just the right time right now to be in the space. People are looking for those answers, right? And you're seeing in the news every single day things happening. So if we can do something to provide a faster solution, easier way to operate, to help people feel more safe, right? It's an opportunity, but also it's what our mission is from an Acre perspective as well.